Ready? Ready? Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the budget hearing for the proposed 2014 budget and the impact it will have on the City of Columbus, as well as the Technology, Small and Minority Business Development Committees. Today, we will hear from the directors of these departments as they share how their respective budgets were spent last year and how they propose to spend them more efficiently in 2014. Before they get started, I would like to just have a moment of silence for Nelson Mandela and his passing today. Thank you. After the presentations by the directors, we will have speakers who are present, who signed up to speak after the presentations. I know that we all take care of the budget process seriously, and the responsibility in guarding the public dollars is, of course, utmost importance to us. Today, we will hear from the following departments: Gary Cavan, Director of Technology Department; Melinda Carter, Director of the Equal Business Opportunity Department; and Bill Webster, Deputy Director of the Department of Development. So let's begin with the Department of Technology. Director Cavan, please share with us the Department of Technology proposed budget for 2014 and how the City of Columbus is using innovative technology to operate more efficiently and what best practices are being implemented. Please share how the proposed budget compares with last year's budget and what new efficiencies are being in place.
Thank you, Chairman Miller, for the opportunity to discuss with you the proposed 2014 budget for the Department of Technology. Technology provides support for 12 essential services, which include network, telecommunications, desktop, security, and media, to name a few. We also manage 6 enterprise applications used by all city departments, such as Performance, something that's near and dear to all of us, Payroll, GIS, Excella, Prism, and 54 lines of business. The department's 2014 proposed budget totals $35,608,203, which reflects an increase of approximately $2.3 million, or 6.54% increase over 2013 total budget of $33,279,452. The budget for 2014 is comprised of $17.1 million, or 48% from the general fund, and $18.5 million, or 52% from other funds, mainly DPU, transportation, and BZS. The department's 2014 budget reflects a staff level of 161 positions, consisting of 155 full-time and 6 part-time positions. The increase of $2.3 million over last year's budget is mainly attributed to employee wages and benefits, DOT PoliceNet technology / software hardware licenses that we have begun to manage as a result of us assuming the responsibility for technology and police, and professional services contracts that have gone up. You had asked about some of the things we've done as it relates to small businesses. In 2013, the Department of Technology awarded over $2.5 million in contracts to small local businesses, including startups. To name a few: Cement Marketing, Glowmark Governing, Falgren Moretine, eProximity, CoreNet, OnGuard Systems, Blue Apple, Brown Enterprise, and Live Technologies. In addition to that, we plan to spend technology dollars in 2014 for things such as the redesign of our website, columbus.gov. We obviously want to make this a better experience for our customers and people who visit our website from the outside. We also have a special part of our application that we dedicate to small businesses that come into a city and want to look at where and how they can do business in our city. We're going to be enhancing My Neighborhood website, the mobile city hall. We're going to make upgrades to Excella One-Stop Shop and online permitting. As relates to safety, we will continue upgrades and consolidation of PoliceNet, more neighborhood cameras, integrate, consolidate city and police phone systems. Economic development, we continue building our fiber network and connect anchor institutions, as well as city facilities. As far as spending our budget towards small minority business development in 2014, we have always collaborated with the ecosystem that supports small and minority technology businesses and startups such as Tech Columbus, Columbus Chamber, Founders Factory, etc. In 2014, we will continue our collaboration and support for this ecosystem by engaging these businesses and making sure they get a fair shot at many technology contracts we will award in 2014 following City Code. We'll also, as it relates to efficiencies, we will be enhancing our communication with residents through the redesign of My Columbus. We will continue to automate vehicle locators, mobile dispatching, our Excella, which is our permitting system, smartphone technology, information at our fingertips when you need it, where you need it. We will also continue to build out our fiber network. This will allow us to transfer data across our network for more camera usage, a real-time exchange of information between city employees, a mobile workforce, and reduce and eliminate recurring costs. We also plan to implement business intelligence, where we use all of the information that we currently have within our city. We have an enormous amount of data. If used correctly, will allow us to make critical decisions. Last but not least, GIS has become a major focal point for our city and Department of Technology. If a picture is worth 1,000 words in our world, a map is worth much more. GIS is the foundational to everything we do, from locating fire hydrants to navigating to the intricate sewer system to making sense of the complex engineering that goes into the traffic signaling system. We will continue to enhance our citywide GIS system by maintaining a single master address file, which is very important, and enriching the hundreds of GIS map layers that are necessary to run the city's business. People think of GIS as a mapping tool. What we really want to get to is we're at a point that we can actually make decisions based on this tool. And hopefully in 2014, we'll begin to turn the corner and start using it that way. That concludes my remarks, Chairman Miller. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
One quick question is dealing with the redesign of the Columbus.gov. Do you have a range of time, possibly when that site will be launched, redesigned?
Yes, sir, Chairman. We are shooting for the end of January, middle part of February. That's our proposed date at this time. And today we're on track. We feel like we can make that time frame. So as of right now, that's the date we're shooting for.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director Cavan. Next, we will hear from Director Carter. I would like for her to share exactly what the Equal Business Opportunity Department proposed budget is for 2014 and how it helps small business growth in Columbus. And also what new and improved services will be offered to small businesses within this in the 2014 budget. And also share any differences between last year's budget and 2014 and any new efficiencies you brought along with that.
Thank you, Councilmember Miller. As you know, as the chair of our committee, we've been really engaged over the past year in a number of new initiatives of the city with the Equal Business Opportunity Office. But to begin with, our proposed budget for 2014 is $904,262. It's a slight increase over last year. It's a slight increase over last year, which accounts for just cost of living raises for employees. There is one reduction I should mention is that council last year appropriated some dollars to EBO to reach out to the minority and women-owned business community relative to the responsible business legislation that was passed. And over the past year, we've been doing a number of outreach forums, reaching out to that community to make sure that they can comply with the new requirements and that we will not lose businesses who are currently certified as a city as a result of those requirements. So that is one small change. But our budget is a basic continuation budget. Our 2013 proposed budget was $892,600. In both instances, that accounts for 9 full-time staff that work in our office. As you know, the EBO office is responsible for the development of race and gender-neutral programs that encourage the use of a diverse pool of qualified contractors and service providers. In 2013, we worked really hard to make sure that that happens. We worked with all the city departments to make sure that inclusion was a part of their daily operations. Our utilization, overall utilization for the city is hovering around 8% citywide. Our utilization of minority and female firms in the professional service area is a historic high at a little over 33%. So we're quite proud of the work that's gone into that effort. However, over the past year, we've been very much engaged in looking at should we be moving to a small business program. And so much of our resources in terms of our time has been spent looking at a small business program, whether that will be the best way to ensure that minority businesses will have an opportunity to compete, competitively compete with other businesses for city work. So we've been engaged in that process for the last 7 months, and has encompassed a great deal of our time. Along with that, we also, as you know, have been implementing our PRISM tracking program, which is a tracking program that will, a web-based tracking program that will allow us to issue real-time utilization reports for minority and women-owned business spend for the city. And I must say that in terms of Director Cavan's department's technology department, with respect to helping small businesses, his leadership in helping us implement PRISM, get PRISM operational has been invaluable, because even though our office is small, technology drives a lot of what we do, because the monitoring and reporting aspect of our office is very important in order to make sure that we are living up to our promise of being inclusive. And the tracking system helps us do that. The improved tracking system will help us do that better. We're going from an outdated system that's been in place for about 15 years to a web-based solution that will allow vendors, suppliers, everyone to turn around their desktop and look at reports, request reports, and get real-time data on our utilization of the city. It'll help us program better, it'll help us direct our resources better, and it'll help departments be able to look at availability of minority and women-owned firms in certain areas. So that tracking and monitoring system is a great efficiency. We expect to be fully operational in 2014. Really, we're in the test mode now, but we're making sure that everything is operating properly before we roll it out. So that is reflected in our 2013 budget, and we'll be continuing with that in 2014. We paid for it out of 2013, but it'll be implemented completely in 2014, along with the new small business program that we're looking at to implement in 2014 as well, which we hope will represent a great opportunity for minority and women-owned businesses to grow in opportunities with the city. But as I said earlier, our entire budget in terms of helping to develop small businesses, that's really what we do. We do certification. We conduct certification, grading certification to minority and women-owned firms. We grant contract compliance numbers to every business that wants to do work with the city to ensure they're meeting the EO requirements that the federal government requires and also that we require as a city. We also do outreach to make minority and women-owned businesses and all businesses aware of opportunities with the city, work with departments. Over the last year, we've worked collaboratively with the Department of Public Utilities on a number of issues. They've really been quite an advocate for inclusion in many ways, supporting us financially with the acquisition of PRISM, also supporting and leading the way in terms of the Mayor's Small Business Conference that we've partnered with them on. So we've been collaborating, leveraging our resources with not only internal city operations, but also our industry peers, whether in the private sector and our other public sector peers, whether it's CODA, the school board, the airport, in making sure that we can leverage our resources so that we can stretch them and reach more people. The SBA, Columbus State, the Chamber, Commerce, and Diversity Bridge. So we've done a number of things over the year to make sure that we let the minority and women-owned business community know that we are open and ready to do business, and we want to increase our utilization of those firms. So that's what we've been doing in 2013. In 2014, our budget is a continuation of that. Again, with the small business initiative that we hope to have completed by mid-year, we're going to be expanding our reach to include businesses that are small, not only businesses that are minority and female, but small businesses as well. And that program will hopefully increase our utilization numbers, because we'll have some specific things that we can, some specific procurement tools that we can implement and monitor and report. So for 2014, we're expecting that the $907,000 plus dollars that we're asking will actually have a great impact, and we'll be able to leverage those with other partners to and our technology, our PRISM, and our new program to make sure that our impact is even greater and our utilization numbers are even greater than they were this year. That's it. Any questions?
You mentioned that the Small Business Initiative program, you stopped probably mid-2014?
Yes, Chairman Miller, actually, we will complete our recommendations by the 1st of January. We'll hand it off to you, City Council, then I'm imagining that you'll have public hearings and whatever that you think is appropriate. So we're hoping that that entire process will be completed by the middle of the year. We're shooting for a May date. But we'll hand off to you what we recommend for the administration by the early January. In fact, we have a couple more meetings with our leadership team this month, and we have some in January, but we hope to hand that off to you in January.
Right, and those in January are going to be specific details, exactly what the program is, and these are not recommendations, but these are actual initiative programs that will be, as we review those, and with the possibility of having hearings and getting public feedback. But this is different from recommendations.
Oh, absolutely.
These are going to be
the proposed program. You're exactly
okay.
right here. We had the recommendations back in September. We acted on those. The mayor and leadership asked us to go forward with the recommendations. This will be the program components. You will look at that, dissect it, make changes. We'll have to make code changes as you see fit to do that. And so it won't be recommendations. It'll be actually programmatic.
And with that possibility of programmatic items, there's a possibility that some of those can be done in 2014, but there might be others that will have to be implemented in time coming. So there's not a guarantee that everything was going to be set in 2014 for all of the initiatives and the programs.
You're exactly right. Also, Councilmember Miller, we did not account for any of those changes in our budget. Our budget is a continuation budget. So if there are things that require additional dollars, we may have to do them in 2015. We're going to try to implement the portions of the program in our existing budget. So if there are programmatic things that that are going to be implemented that have costs associated with them that cannot be absorbed in our current budget, we have to come back to council to revisit. And the administration has said we will revisit that then, or we may look to 2015.
And then there's also the possibility of looking at those items. It may not be. Is it clear that some of those items are not even budgeted in other departments?
It may not be. You're exactly
Okay.
right. We've tried to account for what we can, but there's some things that you're exactly right. They are not budgeted in other departments.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Last, we'll have Deputy Director Webster to share his department proposed budget, specifically dealing with the Department of Development and how it will be able to equip small businesses and really with the necessary tools to grow in Columbus within the year 2014. So go ahead and please share with us your budget, whether compared to last year, and what kind of new things you might be in there for 2014.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Miller. The Development Department's proposed budget for 2014 is approximately $23.7 million, which is approximately $1.2 million larger than it was last year, and a growth in staff levels from 118 to 130, so 12 new positions. The general fund staffing level increase is to cover 4 critical areas, primarily in the area of code enforcement. We would like to create a new team that would allow us to become more proactive than some of the reactive nature that we've experienced in our code enforcement area. This helps to strengthen our neighborhoods, which ultimately helps to strengthen the business climate within the neighborhood. As you know, the Development Department offers numerous financial tools and incentives that help to advance small business and job creation within the city of Columbus. These incentives are used in a number of different areas. We have financing for startups in the way of microloans. We have business development funding for existing businesses. We also have tax incentives to help aid construction and redevelopment, as well as grants and various other types of capital funding, ultimately to support job creation, private investment, and small business growth. The 2014 budget includes $12.7 million for incentives that are used to aggressively pursue these types of opportunities. Our portfolio right now consists of approximately just under 200 companies that on average are producing approximately 3,500 new jobs a year. They are generating approximately $225 million a year in new private investments. 70% of these companies are small businesses as defined by the SBA, meaning these are businesses that are less than 100 employees in nature, with 40% of them being more micro-tended businesses where they are less than 30 employees by nature. We will continue to support community efforts. We find that some of the best ways that we can support small business development is by continuing to align and collaborate with our small business partners. This community is rich with small business development in terms of the Neighborhood Design Center, the Small Business Development Center, the Finance Fund, CCDC, ECDI. I apologize, I can't name them all, and I don't want to offend anybody, but we have a strong web of business development partners. What we would like to do this year is continue funding them, including our Capital Crossroads SID, as well as the Finance Authority at the levels that they were at last year. What we would like to do is to work with them in a way where we can achieve some efficiencies, and that we've begun to notice that in many instances they are offering similar, if not the same types of services. And what we would like to do is to begin to pull them together, have conversations that allow them to streamline, at least their contracts with us, streamline what each other's doing, so that way we don't have several organizations focusing on the same thing. Instead, we like to do is focus on the strengths of those organizations, so that way the people that are offering lending or business counseling as their primary strength can do that, and the people offering design assistance as their primary forte, they can do that. This allows to achieve, in our mind, a stronger efficiency amongst the small business development community. Let's see here. Included as a general observation, included in the 2014 budget is a continuation of the $325,000 small business retention budget. This is a marketing budget that we used and we would like to use in 2014 to aid the money that council put forward to the small business incubators. We were able to fund a number of incubators in 2013. Well, 2014 is going to need to see a continuation of some of this funding. We would like to see their services grow. The $325,000 will allow us to continue marketing the small business incubators and hopefully begin to provide them additional operating expenses so they can further use their private money to help the businesses that are currently there. These include, of course, ECDI, CCAD, et cetera, et cetera. And then lastly, I just want to mention that our land bank includes a budget of $150,000, which, again, the biggest issue that we face with small business development oftentimes is more of a community development issue, vacant abandoned property, et cetera, maintenance of these properties. We are including $150,000 for maintenance of land bank property, which, as an effort within the development department, what we envision is an alignment of how we're approaching our land banking activities, our residential activities, our economic development activities, ultimately under sound planning activities to create a strategy that we can support the private community in their small business efforts. That's a brief synopsis of what we're doing in the area of small business development. I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
With all that great information from you dealing with the support that we do with that we have for small businesses and even startups. I want to relate it back to what Director Cavan talked about with the redesign of the website. It sounds as if, and I think Councilmember Klein talks about this toolkit, this chest of resources that small business can go to. And one of the important things that I've always said is that you have to have this information there for the public to understand, because sometimes it's I get people stopping me, even coming and making office visits, and want to know, well, what can the city do to help me? And first I asked them, well, what type of help do you need? And that's one of the first things I want to do is maybe just direct them to the website and doing that. So if you look at what you're doing for 2014, and it's a great opportunity for people to know exactly what you're doing through this redesign. And so it's going to be important that as we talk about 2014, to make sure that, you know, that all that information is, I call it, being published on the site. And so that's very important, and I think as we talk about that, it might be something, I don't know whether it's officially called like a toolkit for small businesses on the site, but I think that's something we have to look into.
Absolutely, Chairman Miller. I'll second what you're saying in terms of people are confused. There's so much information out there. There are so many resources out there. I've often heard people refer to the small business resources as a plate of spaghetti. And they oftentimes don't know which one is best for them. And to the extent that we can define and advise the approach that small businesses should take toward the resources that are best for them, it's going to create efficiencies for everybody. Director Carter, myself, I mean, we always need more staff. And to the extent that we can free up staff time by utilizing website resources, that's fantastic.
Chairman Miller, one of the reasons why we're redesigning the website is to make it easier for our residents to navigate. Right now, it's a little kludgy and confusing. The major portion of this redesign is to make sure when someone comes to our website, within 3 clicks, they can find the information they're looking for. And we've been working very closely with the Department of Development in this effort, and we have managed to not only create a website that will be faster and better, but also a major goal of ours is to make sure that the content stays fresh. And that will be something that will occur. It's been emphasized throughout this process. And again, we've had great cooperation from the Department of Development as well as other departments to make sure that this occurs.
I'm glad you brought up that point, and I think it's important for me as I work with all 3 of you in 2014, is because one of the things that's very important to me is that the information that individuals, the public, is receiving from us, whether it's calling the 311 or directly into your offices, the last thing I want to encounter is where they're getting different answers from different departments. I believe that the published information and content management on Columbus.gov will be, I call it, the gospel. So if they're following it on the web, they cannot take a phone call to one of the departments and get a different answer. I mean, it's going to really free us up from really dealing with the public to make sure that they're given the right direction in what they want to do with small business development. So as we talk about the redesign, I know Department of Technology is responsible for what you call the background, the programming of that. It is the responsibility of the various departments to keep that information up to date, current, and following all the policies. So as we talk about 2014, it's going to be very important that as I continue to do small business development and dealing with DOT, that's going to be something I will be expecting administration to keep up and to work on, because I get enough of those meetings with the public and they're telling me one department told them one thing and there's something in another. I know it gets confusing sometimes, but I think that this is our opportunity to bring all this together in 2014. All right. Well, that is all I have in questions. And we do not have any speakers tonight, but I do want to first thank all of you in this past year of 2013. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm looking forward in 2014, as I just mentioned, in working and getting other things accomplished. I think that the 2014 budget looks appropriate for the things we want to do, but just as much as Director Carter, you mentioned, there's certain small business program initiatives I think that we really have to take in consideration for other departments. I had to agree that just like what I was talking about DOT, it's not DOT responsibility to keep content up to date for all different departments, whether it's utilities or building services. It's the same thing with IBACO and your initiatives, that it's not just going to be your office responsible for that. it's going to be all the other departments. And the same thing with Department of Development. You can have these incentives and all that, but it's going to be also key that you're working with other departments to see exactly where it's going to be put the wheel to the ground on certain programs so that it's not just, for instance, just tax abatements for certain companies. So I'm really looking forward to 2014, and with that in mind, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thanks.